I saw a post. It said, is healing a requirement before entering into a relationship? And so, boom, I want to first have the audience, our viewers, put their thoughts in the in the comment section.
Go ahead and smash that like button.
Subscribe.
There you go.
Please make sure that you are subscribed and make sure you turn on those notifications. So anytime a video comes out, you'll be notified.
And I know y'all peeped the beard. If y'all haven't watched that last video, we're gonna go ahead and link it up here somewhere. But there we go. So back to, do you have to heal before you get in a relationship? What's your answer?
I say that yes and no.
Okay.
I say yes, there's some healing that needs to be done after you're finished with a relationship, but then going into, I feel like there's also healing done in a relationship.
I believe that healing is never finished. Like, it is never done. So since healing is never done, you might be single, you might be in a relationship, you might be in between relationship, like it doesn't matter. So I do think that you can heal while in a relationship. I feel like I began my healing process before this relationship. I think that because I started the process before I met Natalie and throughout our dating process, you know.
Can I ask you what started that self-awareness? Because you're like, there was a lot of self-awareness I had.
I was about to go into that, but I kind of switched. No, I'm glad you asked that, because a year prior to me meeting you, maybe a little over a year, I exited a relationship, and it was a toxic relationship. It was not for me, and I knew it. It was just it was all wrong, okay? And so in that relationship and after that relationship, I realized that I was, for one, a serial dater. I jumped from relationship to relationship to relationship without that little waiting time to figure out what went wrong in that relationship. What can I do better at? Like, you know? Two, I was very codependent. Like, I always felt like I needed another person for whatever reason. I did not feel comfortable being alone. And so that was my thing that I had to deal with. And so I'm so glad that I figured that out before meeting Natalie, because it just helped so much more, you know? It helped that I did my healing so that she didn't have to heal me. A word.
I mean, you'd be turning around like, you know how much this is you talking to me. You know how much you changed, or how much I helped you change. You are not about to take this and take it to another relationship. I am not.
I be telling her, listen, I've deposited so much in this relationship. You bet not.
Like,
if something happened, we gonna build you a house next door. And when you not feeling that way, you can come back on over.
So I wanted to ask you, like, you had said that, you know, you were codependent, that you were, what was the other thing you said?
Codependent, and I was a serial dater.
And a serial dater. How did you figure that out? Like, was that something that you came up with, or was that told to you or pointed out?
It was pointed out to me first. I heard the term maybe like years before that, or while I was in that relationship, because, you know, my friends and the people around me knew that I just like hopped from one to another to another. And so I heard the term serial dating, and, you know, I kind of let that sit in, and I got to a point where I can attach that to myself and be like, dang, I do fall under that category. The codependency was just like me not feeling comfortable being alone, meaning like I had to go with somebody to the bar. I had to have somebody accompany me going this place. Like, I was a confident person. I still am a confident person, but I felt much more comfortable with someone being on my arm. And it didn't even have to be a romantic relationship. I used to use my brother as, like, I needed him to go with me so that we can...
Does he know this?
I don't think he know that.
So he was like your, like, what do you call it?
My wingman.
A wingman.
Yeah, my wingman. And so if you fall under that, where you feel like, and I'm not talking about you feel more comfortable with another person, meaning like you don't do stuff unless you have another person. That may not be problematic for another person, but it was definitely problematic for me because I would just let anybody be my, not my wingman, but let anybody accompany me, my plus one, yeah.
So like, okay, I'm gonna keep digging because I
love this.
Yeah. So, okay, codependency. You heard about it. You identified it,
Mm-hmm.
and then what did you do in order to tackle your codependency?
Oh my God. Okay, I remember fresh out this breakup, right? So we worked together. I always seen this person. Our coworkers knew everything. Like, I had to detach myself from this person. Like, you know, imagine you have a routine. You know, you leave work, you call that person, right? Something new happened in your life, you call that person. And that person was a part of my routine. And so when we broke up and when we weren't together anymore, it was like, I ain't gotta call nobody. All right, let's just drive home. I ain't gotta drop by, you know, at the house. Like, you know, I had to disrupt my routine, and I had to create another routine for myself that I can choose as my default, because that was my default. You know what I mean?
And so basically, even just giving yourself time to understand and create a routine for yourself that's away from someone, that is part of your that was part of your healing process. Yep. In order for you to, I guess, relinquish that codependency. I feel like a lot of people maybe don't even realize that they're in a codependent relationship, or they stay in toxic or unfulfilling relationships because they're afraid of, what is my life gonna look like outside of this routine?
Exactly. It's gonna make me uncomfortable, you know?
I gotta do this all over again. I gotta find this. I gotta do, you know.
There's beauty in starting all over. There is so much beauty in starting all over and relearning things about yourself. Like, you are the best thing walking on this earth. Like, you are the shit. Like, you know, so you are your number one fan. I had to figure that out. And had I not had that breakup, I probably would have learned that later down the line and would have messed up a whole bunch of other people, you know, in my toxic relationships. And so it was important for me to figure out, like, I gotta relearn myself. I gotta relearn a new routine, you know? Not relearn it, but I gotta create a new routine. I gotta be comfortable.
That is centered on you.
Exactly. I don't need nobody to go with me. I could just, the party's where I'm at. What about you?
Mm-hmm.
I know, they don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what did you have to, what was your healing process like?
Yeah, so my healing process stemmed from always feeling unfulfilled in whatever romantic relationship that I had. And specifically, there was a detachment between, like, having a relationship, like some kind of, like, honest, open, trustworthy kind of, like, communicative relationship. It was solely based, really, around sex.
Yeah.
And so I got to a point where it was that was the routine, and I did not feel good. I did not feel like the love that I felt like I needed, and I was willing to compromise my wants, my desires or whatnot, because I felt like that there was, like, a low bar set for me. I really, like, talk about imposter syndrome in relationships. I did not feel like I was worth what this.
Yeah. Touch me again. So in your relationships, they were transactional. Usually you would exchange sex and things.
And honestly, I want to back it up, because I grew up in, like, a very education focused, like, childhood where, like, this is what my family, everybody tell me, your boyfriend are your books, okay? Like, I was not allowed to date, let alone look or glance at someone. And so I already had this kind of weird or disconnected understanding of like what a relationship, I didn't even have a good example of what a relationship, a fulfilling relationship looks like, a partnership looks like. I did not have that. And so the only thing that I really knew and associated with relationships was sex, was, you know, me being able to please the other person, was, you know, me giving and not getting, you know?
Yeah, and not even knowing how to ask for what you want.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and so I had gotten to a point where I felt so low about myself, and I'm like, I should never be able to give so much, something that is so valued of me, my body, to someone that's not going to love and respect and cherish it the way that I do. And so that sent me on my 6-year celibacy journey. And I made a commitment to myself, like, I'm not going to share me, like this part of me, with anybody unless I'm able to feel that they're going to respect, they're going to love me, like I'm getting more fulfillment out of that relationship than, you know, than what I'm giving.
Yeah.
And so that was part of my healing process, to make sure that I'm not just letting anybody in here, you know? And so, I mean, you know, that there's a lot that happened between that point, you know, between like the celibacy period. But a lot of what I've learned is that, like, relationships, or at least, well, I want to say just general relationships, are rooted in sex. Like, it was such a turnoff for me the minute sex or anything sexual was brought up in conversation, any innuendos, like it really gave me a really bitter taste in my mouth, because I'm like, that is evident of what how you see me. Like, that is what you want from me, and I've already expressed what I'm looking for. I already expressed what I want. And if you can't respect that is, you know, you're disrespecting me. And so that's literally kind of like where my journey and at least my healing specifically with relationships happened. But then crossing over, I met you. I'm like, I'm you know, healed. I learned myself. I'm self-aware and stuff like that. But this is why I say that healing is also necessary in a relationship, because now you have a mirror. You have somebody that can see you and that can identify, you know, traits, patterns in you that you probably yourself can't even see. And so now when you have these eyes on you that is able to communicate and you know, identify those things,
yeah,
that is when you can become even more aware of those actions, and that's how you can start to change them. Now, whether or not you're ready to change them, that's another story, because that takes you being, you know, ready to,
willing.
Yeah.
That was good.
Said a word.
That was a word.
Yeah.
That was a word. Type in the chat, amen, if that was a word.
So yeah, that's our 2 cents on whether or not you need to be healed before entering into another relationship. Let's start a conversation in the chat section.
If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, like, comment, and subscribe.
And make sure that you're also following us on all of our social media networks. We are on Instagram, and if you follow us on Instagram, you are going to get lots of relationships and communication tips and tricks. So make sure you're following us out on there. And then TikTok, you're gonna get a little bit more behind the scenes and up close and personal with us. You know, so if you want to see that, that's the reason why you need to follow us there. All right, we'll see you guys in the next video.